Hello everyone. So the Microsoft CEO, Satya Nadella, hopefully I haven't butchered that, has said that AI is generating basically no value. We're going to be looking at this article quickly and then reading through some comments on Reddit. If you like this sort of tech and tech adjacent content, I like to call it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe so I know to make more of it. And don't forget to leave your opinions below. So the Microsoft CEO, whose company has invested billions of dollars in ChatGPT maker OpenAI, has had it with the constant hype surrounding AI. I'm glad someone has said it. And not just someone, but someone who's actually a leading figure in the space. Also, I'm not sure if they've actually ever handed over money to OpenAI, or if the billions they've invested is just their compute time. Obviously, it still costs some money. So, but basically, whenever you make a query on ChatGPT, I think currently that's hosted on a Microsoft server. So every time you ask ChatGPT something, you're essentially costing Microsoft money. When millions of people are doing that, it ends up costing them billions of dollars. Although I know OpenAI, I go off on tangents, is building their own infrastructure, and I think eventually they hope to move to their own servers. So this was all said during a appearance on a podcast. You can go check that out. I'll leave the link for this in the description. I've not actually watched it yet. So us self-claiming some artificial general intelligence milestone, that's just nonsensical benchmark hacking to me. I think he's definitely right by this. I feel like, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like every other day there seems to be some new LLM from a different company that has done better in some kind of metric. And I think because metrics are like hard defined, you can just go after the metric that you think you're most likely going to be able to beat. I mean, ultimately it's a good thing. But yeah, I do feel like everyone's just trying to like do better in these metrics, and maybe we should reevaluate some of the metrics. Who knows? So instead, the CEO argued, or maybe you shouldn't be looking at these benchmarks at all. Instead, the CEO argued that we should be looking at whether AI is generating real-world value instead of mindlessly running after fantastical ideas like AGI. I definitely agree with this. So what I think he means here, though, is value for both the company and the people using the tools. For me, I already feel like LLMs are producing plenty of value, but because I believe Sam Altman said, Sam Altman, pro ChatGPT losing their money. I think he said something along the lines that they're losing money on the pro subscription. So I think this is what Satya is talking about, that it's not actually generating money for the company, therefore it's not really producing value for companies, but it is producing value for people. Insane thing, we are currently losing money on OpenAI Pro subscriptions. People use it much more than we expected. So there's that tweet, literally from Sam Altman. To Nadella, the proof is in the pudding. If AI actually has economic potential, he argued, it will be clear when it starts generating measurable value. I do think a lot of AI stuff is crap, but I think in the space of like coding and sort of word generation, I think we're pretty good. I definitely know people who are saving time at work by using ChatGPT. So yeah, I think it's, or other LLMs, maybe Claude, whatever. I think it's producing value for people, but it's clearly not producing value for companies yet, or at least not the companies producing the AI, I suppose. And I guess he's saying measurable as well. That's the other thing. But I do really appreciate that he isn't just hyping it up. So the first thing that we all have to do when we say this is like the Industrial Revolution. Let's have that Industrial Revolution type of growth, he says. Yeah, because a lot of, your Elon Musk's and Sam Altman's, they do love to hype up their own products. And it's understandable. They're trying to get investment. They're trying to get hype. They're trying to get people using it. So it makes sense that they say big things. We're going to Mars, or we're going to produce an AGI. And that way they can kind of get investment until they achieve those goals. So the real benchmark is the world growing at 10%. Agreed, he added. Suddenly productivity goes up and the economy is growing at a faster rate. When that happens, we'll be fine as an industry. I wish I knew a bit more about this. I don't think the economy is doing that well. is it? That's what news leads you to believe. I think when DeepSeek launched, didn't the market drop, if that's what we're defining as the economy? Needless to say, we haven't seen anything like that yet. OpenAI's top AI agent, the tech that people like OpenAI CEO Sam Altman says is poised to upend the economy, still moves at a snail's pace and requires constant supervision. I don't know if they're talking about what constant supervision they're talking about. Oh yeah, you have to double check it hasn't screwed up. This is what I thought it meant. True. So you ask it to generate some code. Lovely, it works, but you still need to kind of put in the time and effort to make sure it's correct. And you have to actually put the code into a style that you can actually add to your code base. So Nadella's line of thinking is surprisingly down to earth. Yeah, it's very realistic, it's very pragmatic, rather than the sort of Elon style of, this is the best AI ever, we're going to go to Mars, or we're going to have self-driving cars in 2 years, which, has never actually worked, but, it does well for getting people interested and invested. And, Sam Altman saying we're going for AGI. So, besides pushing back against the hype surrounding artificial general intelligence, the realization of which OpenAI has made its #1 priority, to be honest, I feel like I have mixed feelings about this. I think saying we're going for AGI is quite a fun goal, because it means you don't have to keep... It's not really that tangible, but you can just sort of keep making your AI better. And with SpaceX going to Mars, I guess that's more tangible, but that's a long way away, and I doubt that's going to happen in Elon's lifetime. So as of right now, the economy isn't showing much of a sign of acceleration. Certainly not because of an army of AI agents. This is true. I don't think we need to read all of this. I'd kind of be curious to see what happens in Reddit. Let's skip that. The Chinese AI startup DeepSeek, we all know DeepSeek, really tested the resolve of investors earlier this year, demonstrating that cutting-edge reasoning model, R1, could keep up with competition with a tiny fraction of the price. Has this been debunked? Does anyone know? I feel like I should know, but I don't. I think either way it's still cheaper, but I think the difference between US investment and I guess that investment is that the US investment involves all of the infrastructure, which obviously costs hundreds of billions. The company ended up punching a $1 trillion hole in the economy, which is pretty funny. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on this below. I want to see what people are saying on Reddit. I tend to just read the base comment, so yeah, bear with me. So, you mean it's not turning a profit when I run 20 queries in Bing's AI photo generator to create a picture of my D&D character with this pet giant ant? I think where we're currently at is all these AI companies are competing with each other and therefore running at a loss. Even the ones that are charging, I imagine, aren't turning a profit, but they're sort of just reducing how much money they're losing, and which is why they need so much investment. It's sort of early days PayPal. When PayPal launched, I think they literally paid people to sign up. Was it $10 per sign up? It was something crazy, and oh, it looks like my internet just died, so we're just gonna have to continue without that. Request failed, as you can see. You mean it's not turning... I turn it off in Word like I did in Clippy back in the day. How dare you turn off Clippy? Clippy actually needs to come back. At least Clippy was cute. We need AI Clippy. 2 seconds. I've got one of those power Ethernet things, and they're pretty terrible, to be honest. They cut out. This is 2025. I feel like we're not going to find the article. This was a long time ago. People probably don't really care. Yes, PayPal offered $10 sign-up bonuses as part of their referral scheme. So PayPal started with a $20 sign-up bonus and a referral reward, but eventually lowered it to 10 and then 5. But it's literally crazy. I mean, literally hundreds of thousands of people were signing up, I think, just to claim the money. It was quite an interesting story. So, Copper, it says. We invested heavily into the solution, and we are now working diligently to market the problem. The rally cry of the tech giants in the last 10 years, VR, blockchain, AI, yeah, it has felt a bit like that. You know, Meta, spent billions. I do think it will come to fruition, but they spent money on VR and like the metaverse probably a bit too early when they should have been focused on probably AI, to be honest. Yeah, and I don't really like. I have Bitcoin, but I feel like there's too much. I don't like the blockchain. I don't like the crypto space at all. There's too much scamming. I don't like what content creators are doing with rug pulling and stuff like that. I think the space itself is horrible. I don't like that you can just create all these meme coins. I don't know. And you know, there was the North Korea thing. I don't know how they did that, but North Korea just stole supposedly 1.8 billion. I still believe in Bitcoin, but I'm very skeptical of everything else, and I don't really believe in Bitcoin because of the technology. I just believe that it's been accepted as a store of value, and therefore I'm confident that it will grow. Anyway, that was massively off topic. No one cares about that. So since some people are missing the crux of the argument here, I'm not saying these technologies aren't good. They don't have applications or aren't useful. What I'm saying is that they take these products, they see the hype and growth around them, and attempt to mold them into something they're not. The thing is, investors are always... Why do people invest? The cynical reason, I suppose, is they just invest to make more money. That's it. They don't care about the technology. So the hype around them is because they need their stocks to grow, which is the real product. So Meta saw a good gaming peripheral and attempted to turn it into a walled garden wearable computer. They could have just slowly built out features, improved hardware, and casually allowed adoption and the market dictate growth. I actually think what Meta did with their glasses pairing with Ray-Bans was really clever, because it was going to be an expensive product, so they actually went after a market that was already generally a more wealthier market, I suppose. So yeah, I think that was a really good idea. I guess that's a bit different. This is talking about the Meta glasses. They could have just slowly built out features, improved hardware, and casually allowed adoption in the market, dictate growth. Instead, they marketed a bevy of functions, the built-in metaverse around it. Metaverse was stupid. Is anyone... It's like Decentraland and stuff like that. Like, is anyone using that? Didn't they spend like 10 billion on the metaverse and there was like 20 people in there or something? I don't know if I'm making those numbers up. Company saw the blockchain and envisioned a Web3 that went nowhere. Yeah. The blockchain has a marketing problem right now, I would say. No one really... I don't trust it. I trust some of the older stuff that's been around for a while, you know? I don't necessarily like it. I don't really like ETH. I guess there's stuff built on top of it, but I don't trust any of them. Anyway, that's beside the point again. Don't shove it down my throat. He didn't say that at all. He just said that we should be measuring effectiveness by productivity gain, not by benchmarks. Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be a sensationalist headline. We read the article at least. And yeah, he did say that. He just disagrees with how things are being, how we're dealing with AI. Current AI tech has the same issues blockchain does. It's a technology in search of a profitable solution. I'd say AI is way more useful. Blockchain is actually good in places where... I don't know. I do sometimes feel like in the modern world, there's not... Right now, at least, there's no like real need a proper blockchain, you know? Like, it's maybe a nice to have at best. But people aren't losing sleep or anything. AI... I don't agree with the AI thing. I guess they're saying specifically profitable solution. So I guess they may be right there. Right now, AI is expensive to run. Which means for the people actually, yeah, I guess they're right there. I also think AI is sort of a race to the bottom. especially on the software side. It's the hardware side where the money's going to be. Because essentially, if, going back to this, a lot of the benchmarks are like similar. Or like every time someone releases an LLM and or their next iteration, the benchmarks get slightly better, right? And this seems to keep happening. Eventually, we're going to get to a point where there's going to be like diminishing returns, I imagine. There's not going to be big advantages, and then it's going to be, what are you going to use? You're going to use whatever's cheapest. That's just the reality. You're just going to use whatever's cheapest. Which means you'll probably end up using whoever has the largest scale, or someone like Google, who can probably afford to subsidize a bit better than with their search and stuff. So yeah, it's a race to the bottom. It's great for consumers though. But yeah, I think where I feel as well, like I wouldn't want to spend money on a lot of these AI tools, because I feel like ultimately a lot of them end up using like ChatGPT or something like that as their actual backend, and it's like you may as well just cut out the middleman, give your money directly to them. So yeah, I don't feel right now there's any sort of really expensive AI tools that I would spend money on that I think is worth it. I use it for coding. I feel like coding is the one place where coding and maybe like some word generation and text comprehension, so maybe using as a tool in like law and stuff, and learning. I feel like that's where AI is really good. Because I love LLMs, to be honest. But I know their limitations too. So I remember back in late 99, early 2000, when people thought XML was going to save lives, make dinner, and tuck us in at night. The hype was way overblown. Same here with AI. Yeah, we all know the hype curve. But it would still be good. Clickbait. Garbage in, garbage out. AI is generating negative value for me. I'm almost at a point where I would pay to make it go away. I feel like if it's generating negative value for you, then I feel like you're using it wrong. I think AI, if you try to let it be in full control, is more of a headache than it's worth. If you're just using it as a supplementary tool, in the same way you would use like reading documentation or something like that, I think it's brilliant. But again, it's no good if like ChatGPT is losing money on Pro, right? Good for us, not for them. Like, what's the actual cost? What do they actually need to charge for ChatGPT to make money? Like, actual money. As someone who uses it daily for huge productivity gains, I can't help but wonder the motive behind people who write this stuff. I think they must be too stupid to see the benefits. I think I mean, you can't really call the CEO of Microsoft stupid. He's anything than that. What he's saying is he doesn't agree with all this benchmarking nonsense, like it's a competition. He thinks it should be measured in terms of actual economic impact, which, you might disagree with. But that's what he's saying. That's some limited use cases. Did they think capturing artists' revenue streams was really going to be a boom? The thing is, AI is not good at art. Really. No one... I don't know. AI today is basically like the manager in an office space, justifying his existence to the bobs. Takes the information and processes it for us in a way that we ask, but it's not actually creating any value. I actually think it's creating a lot of value for individuals. If you're an individual, I think it's creating a lot of value. I don't think it's creating that much value for companies necessarily. By which I mean, like, imagine you're running your own business by yourself. And I do think now it would be regardless of what you do, I would imagine that your job is probably easier now than it was 4 years ago. That'll be my guess. If you have anything to do with, obviously, information. AI is overblown. I see powered by AI roll my eyes. It's a buzzword. We always have buzzwords. I actually thought this year is going to be AI agents more so than AI. Called it. What will happen to shareholders? CEO makes bad decision, then blames AI. The amount of power and water that AI uses is concerning. Isn't this one of those things that's, I mean, whilst it's true, I think a Google, because like a Google search query is just like an index, that's once you've made that query as well, I think it's quicker. But it is true that using like an LLM, especially something huge like ChatGPT that has like hundreds of billions of parameters for like a simple query is a waste of energy, because it has to still go through all of those layers, right? So I think I read it can take anything from 10 to 30 times as much energy. But I don't know. I don't think it's as simple as. I don't think it's. I might be wrong, but I don't think it's as simple as saying like, oh, that specific query, or like how would that power and water be being used anyway? I'm just trying to see what's the actual impact. It's higher, but I don't know. I think this is a tricky one. I know I didn't really articulate myself very well there, but I feel like whilst true, it's probably somewhat overblown, would be my guess. Same thing about Bitcoin, almost 2 decades old, generated no value to our society at all, which created another ecosystem of gambling, money, and laundry. I think this is like a very philosophical argument of not generating any value. It generates no value in the sense that you could argue if it's made people richer, individuals richer, has that generated value? Unless you're talking about like inherent value, like a function. I don't know, it's a tricky one. It kind of depends on your value definition, I suppose. And it's only taking multiple gigawatts of power to create the slop. This will improve. I don't think we've got like the specialized hardware yet to make. I think people are still developing hardware to make these AIs more efficient and making the. We've still got a lot of efficiency to go. So I'm not too worried about the power stuff. Wake me up when we can make millions of those pesky things called employees obsolete. Until then, rowing. Yeah, and that's probably the other thing that Satya means. It's like, can their AI actually do something that people can do? The answer is probably no, not yet. So yeah, there's no real value yet for a company. Remember 2009 when 3D was everywhere? The AI hype feels the same. I think it's different. I do remember, and I was actually never interested in 3D. I didn't even think I went and saw the Avatar film in 3D. I just didn't care. I just watched it in 2D. This AI hype feels the exact same. I think there's more hype, but I think the ceiling will be higher. Whereas I think with 3D you had like hype, I think it fell like all the way to the bottom. I think with AI, if we're at the top, I think it will fall like a little bit. Anyway, I feel like we can probably end here. Don't forget to let me know your thoughts. It did make my Reddit profile picture. You don't have a Reddit profile picture, do you? Or you have no profile picture. Does mine show? Yeah, yours shows. But yeah, anyway, leave a like, subscribe, all that stuff. Let me know your thoughts, and yeah, take care.